And speaking of handover, then let's also take a look at what Wall Street then did, because it was a negative day largely coming in for stocks. When you take a look at the Dow, finished nearly 400 points lower, while the S&P 500 as well slid close to 1%. Technology stocks felt the brunt of Monday's declines because you did see them pushing the Nasdaq Composite down about 1.2%. So that's the move that you had for Nasdaq as well. In terms of the backdrop that this is against, of course, you do have rising bond yields that put downward pressure on the market, and notably you do have the 10-year Treasury yield that clawed back above 4% to touch its highest level since early August. Now stocks, of course, in terms of the trend then have been troubled over the last several days, creating a rocky start to the next trading month and quarter as well. Investors have been growing increasingly fearful of escalating conflict in the Middle East. That is something that we've been watching out for very closely, because Iran launched a missile attack at Israel early last week, and since then we've seen geopolitical tensions that have been in the spotlight as well. But the market, of course, rallied on Friday after that blockbuster jobs report, propelling the three major indexes to notch their fourth straight positive week. So let's see if we can see a little bit of a clawback later this week, but that largely is the trend that we see emerging for Wall Street. Investors, of course, will be watching out Tuesday for economic data on small businesses and the trade deficit data as well, and they'll also be monitoring speaking engagements that are scheduled throughout the day for central bank leaders, including Boston Federal Reserve President Susan Collins and Atlanta Fed President Raphael Bostic as well. So those are some of the speeches that we're watching out for. But in terms of what else is happening, of course, you do have oil prices that edged lower in early Asian trading. Let's also take a look at oil, because you do have traders booking profits after prices rallied to their highest in over a month, amid fears that the Middle East could be on the brink of a region-wide war. Now, of course, we told you about the fighting in the Middle East that is intensified after Iran-backed Hezbollah fired rockets at Israel's third largest city, Haifa as well. And Israel also looks poised to expand its offensive into Lebanon a year after the Hamas attack on Israel that sparked Israel's ongoing war in Gaza as well. When you take a look at price moves coming in for Brent, you're looking at a decline coming in of about 0.3%. $80 a barrel is the kind of levels that you're looking at least when Brent is concerned. And when you take a look at US WTI as well, a fall coming in there as well, just about a 20-cent fall or 0.3% fall coming in for WTI as well. But both contracts, of course, rose over 3% on Monday to hit their highest level since late August, adding to last week's rally that saw them rise by over 8% for the biggest weekly gains in over a year. And keeping an eye on geopolitical tensions, of course, for the reasons that I mentioned above. And other than that, you do have Hurricane Milton in the Gulf Coast in the US as well that we'll be keeping a very close eye on, at least when oil markets are concerned. Moving on, then let's also take a look at gold, because gold prices also eased as the US dollar held quite strong, and recent employment data as well prompted investors to scale back expectations of that big rate cut from the Federal Reserve in November. So you do have spot gold that also fell just about 0.4%.
There comes a time when your heart calls for you to arise. Plant your feet solid into the ground. Decide your own limits, and then break right through them. Become something more. It's my time to rise.